EL140 Residential Applications Unit 3, RAP 2. Under the supervision of your instructor, you should be able to do the following. Completely wire a switched receptacle, half hot, with the 3-wire switch leg. Completely wire a switched receptacle, half hot, with the 2-wire switch leg cold switched. Tools: 1 hammer, 1 flathead screwdriver, 1 pair of strippers, 1 set of diagonal cutters, 1 utility knife. Materials: 1 power cord, 2 4x4 metal boxes project board, 1 sub-panel bay, 2 single gang plastic side nail boxes bay, 10 feet of 14-2 Romex, 5 feet of 14, 3 Romex, 5 staples, 6 red wire nuts, 1 single pole switch, 1 duplex receptacle. Let's start our presentation.
All right, welcome back, instructors. Again, Residential 140. We got Unit 3, Meeting 2. Objective today is switched receptacle. The purpose of the half hot for that controlled receptacle, you want to give that explanation. This is a simple assignment task-wise, but make sure you give all the background. What's the purpose? What's the history behind it? You want to make sure they have an understanding, because most of these guys don't know what even lamps are nowadays. They don't know what they were used for in the past, like for reading, for example. So getting into the simple circuit, like I always say, we start with the drawing. I got my switch, single pole. I started off with a 14-2. You're gonna wanna start off with letting them trying to decipher your drawing and have them, try to, just consume it a little bit, observe it, try to understand it on their own, and then start asking, probe for questions. We want them to start thinking and to see the lines and see what's happening. Have somebody explain it to you from your class. If anybody's got the courage to get up in front of the class and try to explain what they understand, that's great. But once you go through that phase where you've given them enough time, go ahead and explain. We're starting out with a 14-2 because we do not need that second ungrounded conductor at this point. We only need the ungrounded hot, which I got my home run symbol there. I can only need my grounded neutral, and I only need my grounding coming in from the panel into that first switch box. You see my grounding system, as I explained before, we come in, we tie it to the box, we tie it to the device, and we continue on, and we terminate, in this case, with the receptacle circuit at the end of our circuit here. Then we got the grounded neutral, bypassing the switch, terminating again on our half hot receptacle. One of the things that you're gonna have to get to when it comes to that point is why we don't break the fin. So utilize the words that are important. FIN is the fin, is that tab that keeps these two paths connected. We've separated the fin on the ungrounded hot side. You're gonna wanna give that explanation why that's done. As you go through explaining your ungrounded conductor, how it comes in the common, comes in here at the bottom of the switch. It leaves out my switch leg, my traveler going over to the top receptacle. That's gonna be the top receptacle that's gonna be covered by the switch control, delivering the power only through the switch. We got the splice there explaining how that ungrounded conductor comes over to the bottom of the receptacle and gives constant power. It's pretty self-explanatory. Once they start to follow your drawing patterns, we want to explain why we now switched over to the 14-3 conductor. That because of the use of this red ungrounded conductor to act as our switch leg over to the top half of the receptacle that's controlled by the switch. So keep in point, a lot of these guys were, well, why do you do that? Well, history shows us that many people read before. They had reading chairs, offices were gonna have that application. Doctors' offices, they read. Sometimes they need supplemental lighting. You get houses where you're retrofitting some of that old construction where it didn't have a central light and it had lamps positioned throughout the room. So all these explanations are good for that application so they can see. One of the other things I point out to them is it's very important to label your switch when it's controlling a receptacle. So labeling is matching the receptacle that it affects and the switch that controls it. Aside from that, I explained to them, what is the concern I have? I don't typically ever mix receptacle circuits and light circuits. Why? Because there's a great concern that it's easy on a receptacle circuit to overload the circuit. But if I integrate it with a light circuit, which usually has a 15 amp circuit breaker, we got to maintain that control, that we got to maintain no overloads happening and losing light. Okay, let's go over to the station here where we have it set up, and we'll show you the content of it. So we got our circuit breaker, 15 amps. Got our circuit running down into the switch, single pole in this case, going down to a half hot receptacle. The bottom half is the constant hot. The top half is going to be controlled with the switch. Go ahead and energize. Again, going over all the protocols with your students, all the PPE, energizing your circuit, demonstrating the prior you did the observational checks, and you got confirmation that you got constant hot power at the bottom. You can always bring in if you have a second receptacle tester, you can do that, or just bring in your constant meter use so that they're always getting that constant practice of utilizing their meter on the regular. There goes my power. You gotta make sure that they're inserted. There it is, the 118. Present from the switch and gone with the switch now open. All right, guys. Remember, take your students down the course from start to finish, giving all those details, because this is a simple assignment, but you have to fill in all that gaps with all the useful information that goes with it. Thank you.
Review questions. In a scenario where a half-hot receptacle is installed in a doctor's office for reading lamps, why is the switched half useful? A. It provides a backup power source. B. It reduces the overall power consumption. C. It allows selective control of lighting devices. D. It prevents electrical shock hazards. The correct answer is C. It allows selective control of lighting devices. Explanation: the switched half allows users to turn on supplemental lighting, like reading lamps, independently without affecting other devices plugged into the receptacle.